In the vast and ever-evolving landscape of the internet, where information flows freely and ideas are exchanged at lightning speed, a bizarre legal battle emerged that captured the attention of millions. It was a case that challenged our understanding of ownership, digital property, and the very nature of the internet itself. This is the story of the trial of the person who claimed to own a piece of the internet. Imagine a world where anyone could stake a claim to a part of the digital realm. Can you believe this actually happened? It all began with a man named Kevin. Kevin was not your average tech enthusiast. He was a self-proclaimed internet pioneer who believed he had discovered a loophole in the digital world. A loophole that could allow him to own a piece of the internet itself. What does it mean to own a piece of the internet? It's a question that baffled many. Unlike tangible property, the internet is an abstract concept, an intricate web of servers, data, and connections. Yet Kevin was convinced that he could lay claim to a specific digital address, one that he argued held value and significance. As the story unfolds, we learn that Kevin had purchased a domain name that he believed was a vital piece of the internet's infrastructure. This domain was not just any ordinary web address. It was a name that resonated with the tech community, a name that could potentially draw millions of visitors. He thought that since he owned the domain, he could assert ownership over that segment of the internet. But was it really that simple? When Kevin announced his claim, the reaction was swift and dramatic. Critics labeled him a fraud, while supporters saw him as a visionary. The internet was buzzing with discussions and debates over the legitimacy of his claim. But as with any extraordinary claim, it was only a matter of time before the legal system took notice. Enter the courtroom, a place where drama unfolds and justice is served. The trial began and the atmosphere was electric. People filled the benches, eager to witness this unprecedented case that could set a precedent for digital ownership. The prosecution painted Kevin as a misguided dreamer, someone who was trying to capitalize on the internet's boundless potential without understanding the fundamental principles of ownership. And then there was the defense. They argued passionately that Kevin's claim was valid. They cited cases of digital ownership that had been recognized in the past. They pointed to the transformative nature of the internet, a space where innovation thrives on the belief that anyone can create and own something of value. As the arguments unfolded, it became clear that this trial was not just about Kevin. It was about the future of the internet itself. Would it become a playground for those who could stake their claims, or would it remain a space of shared resources? The stakes were high and the implications were far-reaching. One of the most shocking revelations during the trial came when Kevin's defense team presented evidence of the domain's traffic and potential revenue. They showed that the domain had been receiving thousands of visitors each month, which meant there was real monetary value at stake. This was not just a whimsical claim. It had the potential to impact businesses and individuals alike. But then the prosecution struck back with a powerful counterargument. They highlighted the fact that while the domain might have traffic, ownership of a domain does not equate to ownership of the internet. They emphasized that the internet is governed by complex systems of protocols and agreements, none of which Kevin had the authority to manipulate. As the trial progressed, the tension in the courtroom escalated. The audience could feel the weight of the arguments being exchanged, each side desperately trying to sway the judge. The judge, a seasoned legal mind, listened attentively, but the questions he posed revealed his skepticism. He asked Kevin, if you own this piece of the internet, what rights do you actually have? Can you control how it's used? What happens if someone else wants to use it? These questions hung in the air like a thick fog. Kevin struggled to provide satisfactory answers. He realized that his claim was rooted in a belief that ownership could exist in the digital sphere, but the legal system was not designed to accommodate such abstract concepts. The trial brought forth a myriad of emotional testimonies. People from different walks of life shared their experiences with the internet and what it meant to them. Some spoke of the internet as a democratizing force, a place where ideas could flourish, while others lamented the commodification of digital spaces. As the days turned into weeks, the courtroom drama intensified. The media coverage skyrocketed, with headlines proclaiming the internet on trial. And can you own a piece of the web? Viewers were glued to their screens, speculating on the outcome. Then came the moment that would change everything. Kevin took the stand to testify. His voice trembled as he recounted his journey of discovering the domain. He spoke of late nights spent coding and his dreams of creating a digital community. The emotional appeal was palpable, and even the judge seemed moved by his passion. But as he continued, the questions grew tougher. Kevin, the prosecuting attorney, pressed, what makes you think you can dictate how this domain is used? What if someone else has a legitimate claim to it? A heavy silence fell over the courtroom. Kevin stammered, struggling to articulate his thoughts. It became painfully clear that while he had a vision, the legal framework simply didn't support it. As the trial neared its conclusion, the judge delivered his final instructions to the jury. They were tasked with considering not just the evidence presented, but the broader implications of their decision. Would they endorse a future where digital ownership could be claimed as easily as a piece of land? Finally, the jury returned with their verdict. The courtroom held its breath, every eye fixed on the foreman as he stood to deliver the news. "We find the defendant not guilty of asserting ownership over a piece of the internet," gasps filled the room. But the verdict was not a complete victory for Kevin. While he was not held legally accountable for his claims, the ruling clarified that ownership of a domain does not equate to ownership of the internet. It was a bittersweet moment for Kevin, who had fought valiantly but ultimately learned that the digital landscape is governed by rules that transcend individual claims. In the aftermath of the trial, the implications of the verdict rippled through the tech world. Discussions about digital ownership blossomed, igniting debates that continue to this day. Should the internet be a space of ownership, or should it remain a collective resource? Kevin's case became a touchstone for future discussions about intellectual property, digital rights, and the very definition of ownership in an ever-connected world. His story served as a cautionary tale, reminding us that while the internet may seem limitless, the boundaries of ownership are still being defined. And as we reflect on this incredible journey, one question lingers. What does it truly mean to own something in a digital age? Can we really claim a piece of this vast expanse, or are we merely custodians of a space meant for all? The trial of the person who claimed to own a piece of the internet was not just a legal battle, it was a reflection of our society's evolving relationship with technology. It reminded us that in the digital realm, as in life, the lines between ownership and access are often blurred. As we move forward in this digital age, let us carry with us the lessons learned from this unprecedented case and continue to engage in discussions about what the future of the internet holds. Because in a world where ideas are currency, the question of ownership is one we all share.